What's going on, everyone? This is a very special edition of the Controversial Corner. I am your host, Jay Chance, and this is the coronavirus epidemic update part 2. Now, I hope you guys listened to my previous uh, video upload and podcast about the coronavirus. And a lot of people have been asking, well, what happened to part 2? So here we go. All right, now, there's been a lot of speculation as to what COVID 19 is, what it isn't, and just want to take you guys through, and I'm going to actually show you one or two videos to substantiate what I'm about to say. Now, as a disclaimer, these opinions that I'm about to express are just the expressions of Jay Chance and does not necessarily represent any guests that I had in the past, nor any guests that I will have in the future. As a warning, it is very controversial. It hasn't really been reported the way I'm going to report it and put a spin on it anywhere in the world as far as I know. So I hope you guys listen to what I have to say with an open mind and an open ear. Okay? Now, so a lot of people are thinking that the COVID-19 epidemic is a plague from God, that it's a manufactured disease made from a Chinese scientist experimenting with bats to cut off the human population. A lot of people feel that it's some type of simple cold. And all of that may be true. See, what I think is going on is very simple. I think that we have to redefine what this COVID-19 and coronavirus epidemic really is. Now, it is my understanding that this virus is a virus that specifically attacks our immune system. That's what people are saying. So, I don't want to say I don't believe it. I don't want to say anything against scientists, but this is what I feel is going on. And I want you to listen to me very closely here. Okay. So, as you know, I know you probably heard different reports online about this 5G technology and these towers eradicating and letting off very, very dangerous amounts of radiation, which thus affects our immune system. They're putting these up across the world, starting in Korea and China and various other parts of the world. The U.S., the biggest 5G networks and towers are in New York and California, which are the largest outbreaks of this epidemic is occurring. And I'm going to show you the video, but once you guys actually look at the amount of towers that are being put up with this 5G technology and begin to compare that with the number of outbreaks that have been occurring in those particular countries and those particular states, you will begin to see a very clear pattern. And I believe that it has something to do with these towers. Now, my dad always said that if you want to hide something, and I'm just going to be straightforward, he said if you want to hide something from a person, he actually said a black person, but a person, put it in the form of a book. And I know that we as a general population, we probably don't necessarily read all aspects of our cellular devices, but if you do take the time to read it, it does have a disclaimer in there stating that it within itself, without even the 5G, but it within itself releases a certain degree of radiation, which is, like I said, dangerous to us, that can cause cancers and other elements that could affect our bodies. Now, it suggests that we never carry cellular devices on our persons for long periods of times. And in fact, it encourages the use of cellular devices at least 6 inches from our face at all times. Now, I'm not going to get into Bluetooth technology or wireless earbuds today. Shout out to Ray J and his company, Raycon. But that's just something to think about. So back to these towers. So if these towers are really impacting our immune system, and keeping in mind that, back in war times, even 10 years ago, they actually used this same technology to control crowds, the release of this radiation technology, because they knew that the release of radiation was detrimental to our health. And knowing that, they still put up these towers. Now, I think once you combine that concept with the thought of a Chinese scientist, you see, actually coming up with a synthetically made virus, that's maybe the reason why we're having these things going on in the world. See, we have two things going on. We have the towers that's weakening our immune system, and we have this new strain of virus, of something like the flu, maybe a little worse. But you have to think about it just a little bit deeper, you see. See, what's really going on is something that the government will not speak about. Scientists will not utter these words. Newscasters will not utter these words on national TV, radio, or the internet. But Jay Chance today, Jay Chance on the Controversial Corner podcast, will talk about it right now. You see, in actuality, if you really think about it, these towers, by it affecting our immune system the way it does, what they've discovered is that we have, in reality, another acquired, by means of the radioactive towers, immunodeficiency, because it attacks our immune system, syndrome, because it is an epidemic. So let me say it again. An acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. If you look at the letters of each of those words, they actually spell out something very clearly, which no one wants to say, but I'm going to say it today. AIDS. AIDS, ladies and gentlemen. No one wants to say that these towers have affected our immune system. And in a way have given people AIDS. Because, see, what people don't know is that AIDS, people don't die from AIDS necessarily. They die because the disease attacks your immune system. So therefore, it can't fight off other diseases and other elements that you might have going on in your body. You see, we have different different elements in our body that with a strong immune system, our body is constantly fighting, you know. But without an immune system, it's kind of like a country without an army. You know, it's just open to any type of makes it susceptible to any type of invasion. So what they've discovered is that there's actually something which I've thought about for years. There's actually something other than sex, you know, other than blood, that can give you AIDS. And that's these towers, 5G. And unfortunately, I know that, you know, a lot of people, you know, they are being misdiagnosed, unfortunately, because the situation is so new. And I'm not even saying that some people, you know, depending upon their age and depending upon if the doctors feel that they can survive or not, they're not being given the proper care. In fact, a lot of people have made it a law that stated that if the doctors feel, because of your age or other issues, that you cannot survive, that they're not going to treat you as if, that is, medically treat you as if you will survive. And they won't give you the treatment that you need in order to survive. So, all in all, 5G technology, all for faster internet service, maybe a 15-second faster download time. My question is, was it worth it? Anyway, listen to these 2 videos and make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and look forward to talking to you guys again on the next edition of the Controversial Corner.
The U.S. may have sent almost $4 million to the lab in Wuhan in order to have them research coronavirus in bats. That's right. And Dr. Anthony Fauci, the head of NIAID and part of the National Institutes of Health, may have actually been the one sending the money to that lab in Wuhan.
That money was sent between 2016 and 2017. Listen.
Her name is Shi Zhengli. Wikipedia describes Shi Zhengli as a, quote, Chinese virologist and researcher at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Investigations show that Shi Zhengli has been a figure of controversy since the Wuhan virus outbreak. This is due to a paper she published in 2015 discussing her own research into synthetic viruses.
So 1, synthetic viruses are man-made. 2, Shi Zhengli is the Bill Gates of China, except she's more deadly. Why? Because she's an actual virologist working in a science lab. Listen.
In November 2015, she and her team at the Wuhan lab once again published a paper, this time in the British journal Nature Medicine. They discussed the creation of a synthetic virus, a self-replicating chimeric virus. This new virus demonstrated a powerful ability for cross-species infection. The mice infected with this synthetic virus revealed severe lung damage with no cure. This symbolized that Shi's successful splicing of the SARS virus was a key to open the door to the cross-species transmission.
Part of the problem is that when someone like Dr. Anthony Fauci, who was in charge of the coronavirus response, the media is hyping him like crazy. We've already shown you how his connection to Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation is essentially pushing for a new global mandated vaccine.
If you still don't believe in the 5G conspiracy, please watch this. Speedtest.net. Many of you know this website. I literally just went to look at the speed of my internet and I stumbled across this by accident. Discover your nearest 5G deployment. It's a map of the entire world and all the 5G networks. Now watch. Here's a quick COVID update. USA has now more than doubled second place. If you take a look at the heat map for USA, you'll notice everything is happening on the east side of things, mainly New York City. Other than that, second place is California. This is a world map of all the 5Gs that have been deployed all over the world. USA has 5,500 while the rest of the world don't even equal 3,000. New York alone has a radius of about 1,500 deployed 5Gs. And California is second with almost 350. Follow and share this as I do the exact same thing and break down each country. 5G is what's killing us. Part 2. Mexico and South America. Mexico has a population of over 130 million people. This is a COVID heat map of Mexico. Nothing is going on. Out of 130 million people, they only have 1,500 cases. Well, why? Could it be because they don't have any of the 5G networks that have been deployed all over the world? Zero. Brazil, more than 210 million people. Brazil is leading South America in most cases, but they only have 8,000. To put that into perspective, Canada has more cases than Brazil and Mexico combined. Brazil has 5 deployed 5G networks. The rest of South America doesn't even equal 10. Pretty self-explanatory. 188 5G deployed networks in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic combined. Does that make any sense? Share and follow to see part 3. 5G is what's killing us. Part 3. Europe. In the top 13 countries with the virus, 10 of them are European. Why? Well, second to America, the small little pocket of Europe has over 1,200 deployed 5G networks, all within a small radius. If you zoom into Europe, you will see right in the dead center of Europe, almost 700 5Gs have been deployed. Do you remember where the outbreak started in Europe at rapid speeds? In northern Italy, just south of Switzerland. Attached to this map is an actual Twitter feed from the people who made this website. And if you zoom in here, on July 25th, 2019, Italy was one of the first European countries to get 5G. Countries like France, Germany, Spain, and Finland all got it 1 week before that. Part 4 in the next video. 5G is what's killing us. Part 4. Africa. If you take another glance at the heat map of the world for the COVID coronavirus, you'll notice that Africa is barely touched. Also important to note that Africa, as of 2016, has 1.2 billion people. I know what you're going to say. Hot places are not getting the virus. Hot places are not spreading. Okay. Then explain this. Out of all of Africa, the place with the most cases is the country furthest away from all the action. South Africa. They have the most cases with under 1,500. Now take a wild guess which African country has the most 5Gs deployed. Yep, you guessed it. South Africa. Climate and temperature is not the common denominator. Check out part 5 as I dissect Asia. 5G is what's killing us. Part 5. Asia. Now you're going to want to listen to this one. It is well-known information and most people know that Wuhan is the first city in the world to roll out a 5G internet tower and antenna network. It is also the first city in the world to experience the COVID coronavirus epidemic. This is the coronavirus heat map for Asia. This is the Asian map of the 5G networks that have been deployed so far. Watch how symmetrical each map is. 5G map, coronavirus map. 5G map, coronavirus map. Now for what I find most interesting. India not only shares a border with China, they have the exact same population, but they don't even have more than 3,000 cases. 1.4 billion people and not even 3,000 cases. Now guess how many 5G networks India has? They have zero 5G networks. That's why.
But there's some things going on in the world now that I can't sit on the information and not tell you. even though I may struggle with how to tell you. Look, all right, so there's a lot of myth and disinformation about 5G. And a lot of people are scared, and rightly so. This isn't what we're used to. This is not anything like what we've got online now. Well, though, now we've got it online, and that's the issue. It's not just theoretical anymore. It's not just being installed in preparation of. It is online, and I'm being proven right, and I hate it. Because there are some communities out there that are going to feel the effects of what I installed there. Where do I even start? All right, so 5G is a new way of emitting radio frequency. All right. Unlike 2G, like 2G and 3G, it is directional. All right. 4G emits itself in a bubble, and your exposure to the radio frequency, which is non-ionizing radiation, which means that it doesn't have the strength like plutonium or uranium to knock your electrons out of the path and start mutation. Though radio frequency has been proven by the National Institute of Health's toxicology program to be carcinogenic. And that's just at 2G, 3G. They found conclusively that it caused tumors and cancer. All right. They tested it on rats, but they proved it. $30 million 2-year study, they proved it. Cell phone radiation is carcinogenic. All right. And your user manual that you got with your phone, it tells you to keep the thing away from your body. Do not carry it on your body next to your skin. It tells you to use your phone holding it 6 inches away from your head. There's a reason. You know, 5G is a whole new ball game. And it emits radio frequency in a millimeter wave. All right? It's like a non-ionizing radiation laser beam, essentially. And they've done tests on this. They found out that there were adverse health effects from exposure to millimeter waves in the 70s. I've seen some of the documents. I've seen the studies. They found out a long time ago, which is why the military used it. They use it in a thing called the active denial system. It's a crowd control. They spray the crowd with millimeter wave radio frequency, and it causes the water molecules in your sweat glands to feel like they're boiling, and the crowd disperses immediately. And this job that I love and took so much pride in had me installing similar technology in your communities, and I couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't do it anymore. And I made some videos, and a lot of people were scared, and rightly so. But then I just kind of dropped off. Wait. But there's some things going on in the world now that I can't not comment on. Because in November of 2019, the Wuhan district in China brought online the world's first smart city grid. You understand? They flipped the switch, turned on their 5G network at 60 gigahertz, and within 2 months they've got an outbreak. Respiratory illnesses. Now here's the real interesting thing about 60 gigahertz. 60 gigahertz is absorbed by oxygen. It's an interesting part of the radio frequency spectrum. 2.4 gigahertz, the same thing as your microwave and your cordless phone and your home router. Those all operate right around 2.4 gigahertz, and it interacts with hydrogen molecules, which is why water boils, because it interacts with the electrons, causes them to spin and excite. 60 gigahertz radio frequency, and it's looking like somewhere around 40 gigahertz does as well, interacts with oxygen molecules. It's absorbed by oxygen molecules, causes the electrons to spin, and it makes it impossible for the body's hemoglobin to break it down and bond it to iron. essentially rendering the air in the path of that laser beam unbreathable. And Wuhan turned theirs on in November. And here in March, the world's looking at quarantine. All right, you start doing the math. The Diamond Princess, you're going to say the cruise liners. The cruise liners don't have. Yeah, they sure do. The Diamond Princess was premiering a dedicated 40 gigahertz Starlink network. They have a dedicated mid-Earth orbit satellite that follows that boat around and provides high-speed data to them. Or you start adding, start doing the math. Wuhan turned theirs on. Then South Korea. Italy, Milan turned theirs on. The United Kingdom turned theirs on. There's cities all across America. And if you take a look at one of the outbreak maps and then overlay it with our 5G smart grid maps, and ding, ding, ding. Look, ladies and gentlemen, this technology is dangerous, and it is proving me right. I would have rather have been wrong. I would have rather have been dead wrong. But I'm being proven right, and there's so much misinformation out there and so much lack of knowledge, and none of the media agencies are speaking about this. None of them have mentioned this tie. Like, it is not coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I mean, there are communities here on our soil, here in America, where I installed it. And for that, I am truly sorry. I mean, no longer. I took a $60,000 a year pay cut because I believe that firmly in it. I quit. I will never be put in a position where I'm going to choose money over harming my fellow American. Well, look, it's coming. They are going to install small cell sites on street posts, street lamps, traffic lights, telephone poles. They are going to install hundreds of thousands of them across our country, across the nation, across the world. And not mention what it's doing to you. Look, we've got to speak up. We've got to speak out. You've got to talk to your city council, your senators, your congressmen. You've got to hashtag at Real Donald Trump and let him know that you are scared and you want this technology tested and put a halt to having 5G installed. You want it shut off. Because the only way this stops, the only way the politicians and bureaucrats stop and test this technology and find out the